So a few weeks ago, I gave a talk at a conference to a room full of doctors, and my talk had nothing to do with medicine. So the name of the conference was Creative Careers in Medicine, Let's Create, which is basically a community that brings a load of doctors together who are doing interesting things outside of medicine, outside of the hospital shifts and the clinical work. Things like entrepreneurship, being authors, creators, musicians, comedians, software developers, anything, you name it. Now, I gave a talk in the creative stream, which was a stream for doctors who are interested in starting content. And I thought, if there were doctors in that room who are interested in what I had to say, maybe I should just do the presentation for YouTube as well, because I know there are going to be people online who would appreciate the same thing. Now, this was made for doctors, but you don't have to be a doctor to do this. It's basically YouTube and my story and strategy in general. So I hope you enjoy. Let's begin. Hello everyone, my name is Chris. I'm a doctor, I'm a YouTuber, and for the past few years I've been on a bit of a wild ride, trying to figure out how to balance both. And today I'll be sharing my story from how I went from burnt out and lost to building a YouTube channel and a creative life I actually enjoy. Because in my opinion, YouTube is a learnable skill, just like anything, a skill that has the power to change your opportunities, change your career, and fundamentally even change who you are as a person, for the better, hopefully. So I think a lot of Gen Z want to be YouTubers, and in fact it's one of the most popular career aspirations amongst this generation, above teacher, above astronaut, above doctor. Now, I'm not Gen Z, but I also had that childhood dream. I grew up with YouTube, I loved it, I loved watching it, I loved engaging on it. And it was always like my dark little secret that I didn't tell anyone. I wanted to be a YouTuber. The only problem? I also became a doctor. So throughout med school and throughout the NHS, I buried that dream because I didn't see YouTube as something that doctors did. It wasn't professional, it just wasn't a thing. And then one day I was scrolling YouTube and I came across this man, Ali Abdaal. You've probably heard of him before. One of the biggest doctor YouTubers out there, well, ex-doctor now, 6 million subscribers on YouTube. And I remember seeing Ali make videos and watching him so unapologetically make YouTube videos. It made me realize that I could do the same. I didn't just have to be one thing. I didn't just have to be a doctor. Fast forward to 2020, I found myself in this room. So I'd just come over from the UK to Australia, right bang in the middle of COVID. So I had to do 2 weeks of hotel quarantine. No windows are opened, no fresh air, just me and my iPhone 11 camera. And I thought, if I don't do this now, I'm never gonna do it. So I set up my camera and started talking to it. And at the time I was making calisthenics and fitness tutorials because that's what I was into. I had no idea what I was doing, no audience, just a spark that had finally caught fire. It took me 15 years to start, but I started. But here's the thing. The hardest bit wasn't the editing. The hardest bit wasn't the tech. The hardest bit was this, the fear of being seen. And when I speak to people who are interested in doing YouTube or making content, this is their number one barrier to posting, the fear of being seen by people they know. What if my med school friends see it? What if my consultant at work comes across my channel and brings it up in the tea room? And I too had that fear. That terrified me, the thought of other people seeing my content, the thought of other people cringing for me. And I had a way of getting around this, which was this. I started a secret channel. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my sister. I didn't even tell my now fiance. And I think this is a great way to start because you can practice your videos in private. You can practice in peace. You can practice without the judgment from others, but you'll always have the judgment from yourself. I remember the first time I heard my voice on camera, I nearly threw my phone across the room. I sounded like a hungover chipmunk. And that fear never went away, but I learned to hit publish anyway. So you've done it. You finally uploaded your first video. You refreshed the page like 5 times. It's got 7 views. 2 of them are you, and 1 of them is from your mum. And in my case, it wasn't even my mum because I didn't tell mother about YouTube plans. So you upload again and again. Still no views, no feedback, no dopamine. Just the growing realization that maybe you're not the next Ali Abdaal. Maybe you're just a delusional guy with a camera and an internet connection. Now, I spent 3 years in this zone, intermittently posting whenever I had the motivation, whenever I felt like it. And there were a number of times where I would question myself, like, why would anyone want to watch my stuff? Why would anyone care? Am I just wasting my time here? Because it would take me a long time. It would take me 10 to 20 hours to create one video, which is time that I could be doing other things. And during this difficult time, there were 2 things that kept me going. The first thing was this: a handful of regular viewers. I had about 5 to 10 people on my tiny channel who would often comment, say something encouraging, or ask a question. And I thought, if they're watching, I'll show up for them. The second thing was this: my list of transferable skills. So this is actually a screenshot of my notes on my phone of all the things that I'd be learning, even if no one watched. Things like communication, storytelling, learning to face the fear and do it anyway, and using the creative side of my brain. But despite this, despite my very small handful of viewers, despite my list of transferable skills, I still nearly gave up. So I was on the brink of giving up, like seriously giving up. I thought, maybe I'm not cut out for this. And then a couple years ago, YouTube Shorts became a thing. And I heard from some other creators that shorts were a good way for small channels to get exposure. So I decided to create some shorts. And I actually asked the organizers of the conference, can I talk about other platforms? Because this is specifically a YouTube breakout session. Is it okay I talk about all the other ones like Instagram, TikTok and all that? And they said yes, and I'm so glad they did, because I probably wouldn't be standing here today if I hadn't cross-posted. And by cross-posting, I mean putting those YouTube shorts on Instagram, TikTok and Facebook, because doing so changed absolutely everything for me. Let me explain why. And it's not because having a big audience on other platforms will give you a big audience on YouTube. And in fact, that almost never happens because people don't tend to jump platforms. Think of the last time you were scrolling in Instagram. When did you just log out of Instagram, open up your YouTube and look up your favorite creator? Just doesn't really happen. But what short form did give me was dopamine. So one of these first shorts that I made went super viral on TikTok. It got 7 million views. That just changed my whole level of motivation. I actually felt like, okay, maybe I've got something here. Maybe I've got something to work with. I've got a glimmer of potential. I never started content because I wanted to become a TikToker, but TikTok gave me the boost I needed to keep going. And apart from virality, short form gave me something else that I didn't expect. And I really like this quote, which was, I didn't have time to write you a short letter, so I wrote you a long one instead, from Mark Twain. Making short videos is hard, but it makes you better. It helps you refine your hook, tighten your message, and just do better storytelling in a short amount of time. And if you're making short video, you may as well just post them everywhere, because you never know which algorithm is going to blow it up. I've had videos go super viral on one platform, and on other platforms, they literally do nothing. So you never know, just cross-post it everywhere. And then fast forward to last year, me and my fiance are on a sabbatical, taking a year off to travel the world, no work, no medicine, just us, beaches, hostels, and our cameras. And I was listening to a podcast with Casey Neistat. If you don't know who Casey Neistat is, one of the biggest vlogger YouTubers out there. But he said in this podcast that he did a vlog a day for 800 days. Whilst running a business, whilst raising a baby at home. Meanwhile, I get burnt out replying to 3 emails. So I thought, I'm traveling, I'm not working, I don't have any kids, surely I can do 1 video per week. And that's where this series, Behind the Scenes Weekly, was born. 1 episode per week, experimenting with health, talking about travel stories, practicing creativity. And I actually changed the banner on my YouTube channel to say, new video every Sunday. That wasn't for my audience. That was for myself, to hold myself accountable. And I say this all the time, but consistency beats perfection. If you want to be a runner, you need to run. If you want to be a creator, you have to create. Not just when you feel like it, not just when you get the motivation, but regularly. And if not every day, then at least every week. If you take nothing else from this talk, make it this. Consistency is the first step, and I wish I had started it sooner. But the only issue is, when you start posting consistently, the question then becomes, what do I actually post about? Let me tell you something that changed the game for me. So I was scrolling on YouTube one day, and I came across a channel of a housewife who just filmed herself doing housework. Not even talking to camera, just her wiping down a bench for 20 minutes. Millions of views. And that's what made me realize there's an audience for everything. So if you've ever thought, why would anyone want to watch my stuff? Trust me, they do. You just need to make it easy for them to find you. And that's where strategy comes in. So next time you're on YouTube, next time you're on your YouTube homepage, study YouTube like a student. What do you find compelling? What do you want to watch? This is an example for me. So I saw this thumbnail and title combination, and I just thought, damn, this is one of the most intriguing things I've ever seen. I just have to click on it. What you do from there is you don't click on it, you screenshot it, and you save it to your inspiration file. For me, that's just my Apple Notes. So just screenshot and put it in my Apple Notes. And really try not to click on it, because it's very easy to end up in a 4-hour YouTube rabbit hole. And then when the time is right, when you have a video that you want to make that fits that title thumbnail structure, you can create it. And eventually, that's what I did. I made my own version of that. Obviously, it's not the same video. It just has very similar packaging, because I could see that was working. And this is what they call viral replication. Not copying, but taking what works and applying it to your own videos. And this is particularly useful for what they call outlier videos, where if you go to a small channel and you notice there's 1 or 2 videos there which are doing really well on a relatively small channel, those are the videos that you want to pay attention to. People often get a little bit defensive when I start talking about viral replication. And I like to see it like learning an instrument. If you were learning an instrument for the first time, you start by learning other people's music, and then once eventually you had learnt the chords, you start writing your own songs. This viral replication stuff just gives you ideas of frame, a canvas to work with, so you can paint something that people actually want to see. You take structure that's working, and then you add your own voice. Here's another example for me. So I came across this video. I was an MIT educated neurosurgeon. Now I'm unemployed and alone in the mountains. How did I get here? 17 million views. Screenshotted it, added it to my inspiration file. And then again, when the time was right, I made my own version of it. This was when I was in Colombia. I was in the mountains, staying in a hut. And I basically just shared my personal story. Now, obviously, I'm not an MIT educated neurosurgeon, but I used Gooby and Doobie structure to tell my story, to package my story and deliver my story. But there was another part of that video that completed the picture, which was this. So in that video, it was a very raw, open and honest video about me sharing my journey through burnout, moving from the NHS in the UK to Australia, and then eventually taking a year off to travel. And I nearly didn't post it. I remember staying up the night before, talking to my fiance, saying, I'm not sure I can post this. I'm literally crying in it. No one wants to see that. She said something encouraging. She said something like, everything will most likely be fine. And also because of my consistency schedule, and it was a Sunday, I had nothing else to post, I just had to post this video. And I'm so glad I did, because it completely changed the direction of the channel. Not just because of the views, but because it was the first time I actually connected with an audience. The first time I wasn't hiding behind some health tip or some fancy edit. It was just me being me. This is what made me realize that people don't want perfect advice. They want relatable stories. Vulnerability is uncomfortable, but it's powerful. And I think Brené Brown put it the best when she said, in order for connection to happen, we have to allow ourselves to be seen, really seen. And this also made me realize that vulnerability is a skill that takes time to develop. You don't go on camera for the first time and pour your heart out. It only comes from getting comfortable on camera, just speaking to camera, being yourself on camera. And then eventually you can let your guard down, let your filter down, and be more of yourself and show more of yourself. But besides crying on camera, there's still a few reasons why I still create. For me, it's simple, it's fun, it's creativity, it's connection, it's freedom of expression. And I really like this idea also from Ali Abdaal, which is increasing your surface area for serendipity. And I've found over the past couple of years, by putting myself out there, I've created opportunities. I've met people that I didn't even know existed before doing all this. And besides the numbers, besides the metrics, YouTube has been one of the biggest personal development journeys I've ever been on. Because ultimately, you're learning the skill of showing up as yourself in the world. You're learning the skill of putting your ego on the line, people not liking it, and you realizing you're safe. That's freedom. It's not the money, it's not the subscribers, it's the freedom to be yourself. Now, a very quick recap over everything we've gone through. Firstly, if you're scared of being seen by your colleagues, your friends, start fresh channels. You don't need to announce to the world that you're doing YouTube. You can practice in private, practice in peace. No progress, loss of motivation, especially in the early days of doing this. Make a list of transferable skills of all the things that you'll be gaining, even if no one watches. I highly recommend starting with shorts because they give you a bit of dopamine, it refines your technique, and cross-post them everywhere because you never know which algorithm is going to blow up your video. Consistency, this is the most important part of the puzzle, and I wish I started it sooner in my creative journey. Instead of just randomly uploading every 2 to 3 months, I wish I had a consistent schedule that I stuck to. Strategy, study YouTube like a student, and remember that concept of viral replication, particularly on those outlier videos and smaller channels. Vulnerability, this just comes with time, with practice, talking to camera, and eventually you get to be yourself and share yourself online. And finally, enjoy it. I think people overcomplicate YouTube. You just post something, you post again, and then you cry a little bit, and then you post again. Thank you so much for watching. That was the talk that I gave at the CCIM Creative Careers in Medicine Conference. I'm Dr. Chris G on all platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. And if you need help with your content, with YouTube or other content in general, feel free to drop me an email, maildrchrisg@gmail.com. Thank you for watching. It's an absolute honor to share this with you. It was an absolute honor to be invited by the CCIM team to come and speak on stage. It literally blew my mind. It was a full circle moment for me because I remember stalking the Facebook group, the CCIM Facebook group, many years ago, being so inspired by all the other cool doctor stories there. So it really felt like a complete circle when I got to speak on stage. If you're enjoying the content, leave me a comment. I read and I appreciate all the comments. I'll see you next week. There's a few reasons why I still create. Firstly, it's fun. For me, it's creativity, it's connection, it's freedom of expression.